Do I love you?
Yes.
How much?
Too much.
Too much. Rowan, who's so cute?
Rowan is.
Rowan is?
Yes.
I always held out hope that he loved him in some capacity, but his hatred for me overtook anything.
Welcome or welcome back, and thanks for being here. I'm Cassie, and this is A Wicked World. The story I have for you today is about a 6-year-old little boy whose father, one day, did not show up for the custody exchange with his mother. And while the little boy's mother immediately knew that something was wrong, she would have a hard time convincing others of this. That's until it was too late. This is the story of Rowan Morey. Rowan Milford Morey was born on August 31st, 2017, to his mother, Brandy Morey, and his father, Michael Winchell, in Michigan. He was a happy little boy who had the unique ability to find humor in the smallest things, making even the dullest days feel like an adventure. He was very funny and always knew how to make someone smile. Rowan's favorite color was orange, and he also loved Pokemon, flag football, and golfing. He had 5 older siblings whom he loved playing with. The 6-year-old had just recently lost his first tooth and was so proud of how much taller he was than many of his classmates. Rowan's parents separated when he was just a baby, and sometime later his mother would get remarried to a man named Brian Poles. Brian was said to be a wonderful stepfather to Rowan. Beginning in 2020, Brandy and Rowan's father Michael began sharing 50-50 custody of him. Their schedule was normally that Rowan would spend 1 week with his mother, then 1 week with his father, and they would always exchange him on Monday mornings at 9 a.m. sharp. Accordingly, the boy's father, Michael, was to spend the week with him beginning on August 12, 2024. So that morning, right at 9, Brandy would drop her son off at his dad's house. But when it came time for Michael to drop Rowan back off with his mother the following Monday at 9, he didn't show up. Brandy called Michael multiple times, but it kept going to voicemail. By 9:03 a.m., she knew that something was wrong. While Michael had done this to her in the past, not shown up when he was supposed to exchange Rowan, Brandy just felt like this time was different. So she contacted the Isabella County Sheriff's Department, as she had done in the past when Michael had pulled this stunt. They informed her that they could go out to his home, located on East River Road in Mount Pleasant, Michigan, to do a welfare check. However, when officers later went out there, they were unable to make any contact with the father. Now, at the time that Brandy had dropped Rowan off with his dad on August 12th, she had noticed that in the driveway was Michael's black truck and a camper. But when police had gone out to the scene that day to see if they could speak with Michael, they noticed that the truck and the camper were no longer there, making them believe that maybe the father and son had just gone on a camping trip. Nothing further was done by authorities at this time. Brandy was, of course, still desperate to see her son, though, so later that day, she called back the Isabella County Sheriff's Department and asked if they could do another welfare check. However, she said that the individual she spoke with this time seemed rather rude and very dismissive of her concerns. So instead, Brandy and her husband Brian contacted the Kent County Sheriff's Office. They would take the couple more seriously, even going out to their home to speak to them in person. Once they got there, though, officers informed Brandy and Brian that there wasn't much their department could do, since Michael lived an hour and a half away. But what the couple should do was drive to Isabella County Sheriff's Department right then and there, get in their faces, and make sure that they understood just how concerned they were for Rowan. So close to 1 o'clock in the morning on August 20th, Brandy and her husband did just that. Rowan had been missing for about 16 hours at this point. When Brandy and Brian arrived at the Isabella County Sheriff's Department, they pleaded their case. However, they did not feel like they were taken seriously. Instead, it seemed like they were just bothering authorities and being nothing but a nuisance. They were also told that they still could not file a missing persons report at this point because it hadn't been enough time and Rowan was with his biological father. Now, the Michigan State Police website states that police agencies may take a missing persons report after 24 to 72 hours. But after hearing a desperate mother's concerns, I feel like an exception should be made. Additionally, according to the website, law enforcement cannot issue an Amber Alert if the child is with a custodial parent. Rowan's mother then made the decision to meet with her attorney first thing on Tuesday morning and file for an emergency custody order. But after waiting around all day for a judge to sign off on it, Judge Eric Janes would deny it without giving the mother a reason why. This forced Brandy and Brian to go to the Michigan State Police for help instead. There, a missing persons report for Rowan was finally filed. Yet while Brandy and Brian had been waiting for an officer to speak with them, someone from the Isabella County Sheriff's Office had called the state police and told them that they had already dealt with Brandy and it was just a civil matter, so they should send her on her way. Unbelievable, especially since at this point, nobody has heard from Rowan or his father in over 24 hours. Even though the Isabella County Sheriff's Department would not file a missing persons report, they did go out to Michael's home several times to try to check on things. On their visit there Tuesday, they would find that the camper that had been in the driveway previously was now back on the property, and it had been moved behind some trees and brush. But when officers knocked on the door, there was no answer. That same day, a detective from the Isabella County Sheriff's Department would reach out to one of Michael's siblings. She lived just a few hours away. However, she was also unable to contact her brother. The thing is, Brandy had already informed officers that Michael would purposely withhold Rowan from her just to antagonize her. He was also constantly blocking her on social media, changing his phone number, not giving her his new one, and unplugging his answering machine at home to avoid her calls. On 4 separate occasions, Michael had even shaved Rowan's head just to get at Brandy. Once, he'd done so right before the little boy's older brother's wedding. Michael knew that his son was going to a very special event, and he wanted to ruin it for him and Brandy. Brandy was a hairdresser too, so Michael knew that this would definitely upset her. But it didn't just affect the mother. It was clear that his actions affected Rowan as well. Because the little boy would look in the mirror after one particular head shaving. He then got very sad and told his mother that he looked funny. Rowan additionally informed Brandy that while he was at his dad's house, Michael would just sleep for most of the day. And he was only being fed toast. Brandy had seen with her own eyes just how dirty the inside of Michael's house was, too. So since Rowan's father was mistreating him, Brandy had gone to Child Protective Services to report what was going on. But she claimed that she was not taken seriously. And while a social worker did go out to Michael's home, he had been warned ahead of time when they were coming and why they were coming to check on things. Therefore, Michael had plenty of time to clean things up and make it look presentable. Additionally, a judge, actually the same judge who had denied Brandy the emergency custody order, Judge Eric Janes, had criticized Brandy in the past about her allegations that Rowan was just being fed toast at his father's house. The judge said that there was no way that that could be true. He had also scolded Brandy during one particular court hearing for Rowan, telling her that Child Protective Services were for families and children in need, and she was just clearly misusing the resource. According to Brandy, Michael had fought her every step of the way with anything that had to do with Rowan. The couple even had to go to court to decide where he was going to go to school. This was even though Brandy had already enrolled him in a school and he had been going for some time. But when it was Michael's week with his son, he refused to bring him because it was not the school that he wanted him enrolled at, which was perfectly legal in the state of Michigan, as Rowan was not at least 6 years old at the time. Things between Brandy and Michael had gotten to the point where the mother was now recording her drop-offs of Rowan at his father's house. She said that Michael made her nervous. Now, Brandy had also put Rowan in counseling to help him deal with the emotional mistreatment from his father. This came shortly after she noticed that her son had started flinching a lot more easily, and the 6-year-old began banging his head on their metal dining room table. According to his counselor, Rowan was very tight-lipped when it came to talking about his father, though he would go on and on about how much he loved the rest of his family. Rowan's mother, Brandy, also said that it was difficult to get her son to open up about Michael. Trying to help Rowan in any way that she could, Brandy would even bring her ex to mediation, but that still didn't work. There was something else about Michael that greatly concerned Brandy, and that was the fact that he owned multiple guns. Michael was also a felon who was not supposed to have any firearms in his possession. The reason for his felony was because back in 2018, he had been arrested for operating a vehicle while intoxicated, causing serious bodily injury. So Brandy knew that Michael illegally had these guns, and she had reported it to the authorities at one point, but nothing was done. Additionally, Rowan's stepfather, Brian, had told police officers that Michael had possession of these weapons shortly after Rowan went missing. He said just how much this concerned him and Brandy, but officers did not seem so concerned about it. This interaction that happened between Brian and police when he mentioned the guns was actually caught on police body cam footage. Brian also tells the officer at this point that he and Brandy are very worried about Michael, who is unhinged, didn't have much to live for, and could possibly kill himself and his son.
Thank you so much. All right.
Yeah, thank you.
Have a good rest of your night.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, you too. I just want to mention one thing without you around. If that's okay. Can I? Okay. All right. I just don't want to say this because I know it's been a concern for her is the murder side of him, and that's why I said when he has no job, no car, no vehicle, nothing to do, he doesn't have a whole lot to live for, and the way to get at her is to hurt her son. Okay. And that's why we are severely concerned because he has a lot of guns. We wouldn't put it past him that he kill him and then off himself. Okay. So that, I didn't want to say that in front of her because I know she'll lose it, but I know it's in her mind too. Yeah. So, okay. That's our number one thing on why we're concerned is we believe he's probably that unhinged. Okay. So, either way. Okay. We're trying to do the best we can. Yeah. So,
yeah, we'll do our best.
All right. Great. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. All right. Take care.
Since police were not taking Brandy seriously enough, and she was desperate at this point to find her son and make sure that he was okay, she also took to Facebook and begged anyone who had any idea about Michael or Rowan's whereabouts to please let her know. Then, come Wednesday morning with still no sign of Rowan or his father, police went out to the home once again, but they would still not find either of them. However, shortly after police left, some of Michael's family members who lived not too far away would show up and begin searching the property. They tried to get inside of Michael's home as well as the camper that was located towards the back of the property. It was during this time that one of the family members decided to break one of the windows in the camper, since there was curtains covering every single one and they couldn't see inside. Upon shattering the glass, the relative saw Michael lying on the bed unconscious. The police were then immediately contacted and they rushed to the home. There, they broke into the camper and found 48-year-old Michael and 6-year-old Rowan, deceased from gunshot wounds. Authorities would later say that they believed the little boy had been killed while he slept, which hopefully is the case. According to police, evidence that they had found at the scene indicated that Rowan had been killed by his father before they had even been alerted to his potential peril. This evidence, as far as I'm aware, is an iPad that they found inside the camper, and it had been factory reset at 7:52 a.m. on Monday. Therefore, they believed that Rowan was killed shortly after that. This iPad was also the only electronic communication device that they found on the scene, because it appeared that all the other items, such as Michael's cell phone, had been burned in a burn barrel out in the yard. The other evidence that police say supports their theory that Rowan had been killed before they were even alerted that there was a problem was that there was a bullet hole in the camper, as seen on police body cam footage that was taken Tuesday. Though according to Rowan's mother, Brandy, in police body cam footage that she's seen, there was no bullet hole in the camper on Tuesday. However, it was there on Wednesday when Rowan and his father's bodies were found. Speaking of this camper, as I had said earlier, it had been missing from the scene when police went out to check on Michael and Rowan Monday morning. They had looked around the property during that visit and then later on during their visit around 1:20 in the morning on Tuesday. However, they wouldn't find the camper until later on Tuesday, meaning that it was either brought back to the property sometime after police left Michael's home in the early morning hours on Tuesday and their visit out there later that afternoon, or they just completely missed it. In body camera footage that was taken by the Isabella County Sheriff's Department, you can see two officers go out to Michael's home at 1:26 in the morning on Tuesday, August 20th. Michael's black truck that had gone missing at the same time that the camper did was now back inside the home's garage, meaning that the camper was likely there the whole time as well.
Did you look around back when you were here last time at all?
No, I just walked back.
Okay. Truck's still in the garage.
Yeah, he doesn't have a driver. I saw you were here. I'm like, fuck, somebody's here.
Yeah, me.
It's grand. I don't know where your fucking camper is.
I would assume probably like over right there, where the grass is all dead.
Yeah, right there.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Just look in the pole bar and see if it's parked in there. Yeah, looks like it. Probably in the last day or two. No camper.
Towards the end of this video, you can see the two officers walk up to a white car that belongs to Michael. The camper where the father and son would later be found is said to be sitting just past that car, though you can't see it in the video. As the officers approach the sedan, you'll notice that the dome light is still on inside, like someone had just been in there, meaning that Rowan and Michael were still likely alive at this point.
Just a junk car.
However, just as the officers get close enough to the car, the camera footage suddenly cuts out. Brandy even asked police for the other officer's body cam footage, but she was refused it. Now, it also sounds like one officer in this footage says, right after the other officer mentions that Michael has multiple vehicles, "Seems like a decent place. He could be safe here. Seems normal. Maybe she's the one that's crazy," referring to Rowan's mother, Brandy. The second officer then says back to him, "She probably is."
Obviously, it's got multiple vehicles.
It's a decent place.
Yeah.
And Cookie says that about 400 feet seems normal.
She probably is.
So with all of this information, Brandy believes that her son was killed either Tuesday night or Wednesday morning, long after police had been notified about the seriousness of the situation. Brandy would also say that she felt like she had been blown off by police many times. They never took her serious. She stated, "A mom is never wrong when she knows there is something going on with her baby. I knew. They just didn't help." Brandy had just recently moved about an hour and a half away from where Michael lived, and she had been planning on enrolling Rowan in a private Christian school. This meant that Michael and Brandy's custody agreement would have to be revised, and he would have to agree on the school that Rowan was going to attend. So of course, this had quickly become a battle between the two parents. And as the time for Rowan to start school started to get closer and closer, Brandy believes that Michael started to realize he wasn't going to win, which in the end was why he had chosen to take his and Rowan's lives. Brandy described her son as a bright-eyed child who was full of life and had a strong bond with his mommy. She said, "He got the tiniest cut on his finger and started crying, 'Mommy,' and then limped over to me. He was very babied, and I'm so glad about that, especially knowing how he was treated by his father." Rowan's stepdad, Brian, remembered him as being a wonderful kid, noting his exceptional manners and impressive math skills for a kindergarten student. Brandy is now committed to fighting in memory of her son and says she will not quit. She's pushing to get a Rowan alert put in place. This would be for children who are kidnapped by a guardian or parent. She wants it to be so that if one parent is running more than 30 minutes late to a scheduled exchange of a child, then communication between the parents must be made. If not, then law enforcement gets involved. Brandy also plans on taking legal action due to how poorly Rowan's case was handled.
He was so beautiful. He was so funny.
6-year-old Rowan Milford Morey should have been starting flag football today.
He couldn't wait for flag football. He got his little gloves and his little cleats.
Instead, his mom and stepdad are preparing to lay their son to rest.
Rowan deserves more, and the babies that come after him deserve more.
He was missing for well over 48 hours, and they could have potentially stopped this if they'd taken
They
it
could have
serious.
stopped this years ago. No one took me serious. No one heard my pleads that this isn't a normal person.
Morey polls now demanding change.
Any FOC case that's started, both parties get mental health evaluations. And if there's a red flag there, you're getting supervised visits until you're okay. Because none of this was okay. My son was not treated okay.
In addition, she plans to start a nonprofit called Rowan's Law in hopes of changing Amber Alerts to include parental abductions. This mother knows the fight won't be easy.
I'll get paid. I don't care. As long as it brings change and it could help someone else's child, that's all I care. It just wasn't his story.
A celebration of life was held for Rowan Morey on Thursday, August 29, 2024, at Cornerstone Church in Caledonia, Michigan. In honor of the little boy's favorite color, guests were encouraged to wear an article of orange clothing to the services.
No one at the funeral will tell you, but I will. You don't just lose them once. No, you'll lose them over and over again, 1,000 times in 1,000 different ways, every day, sometimes multiple times in a day. It is a continuous, never-ending cycle, one you'll have to endure with each reminder of their absence. You will feel as if you're traveling in 2 different directions every second of every minute. For each moment that passes, you are growing further and closer to them all at once. And it takes a lot of courage to look forward to the future when you wish you could just go back to yesterday. It gets lonely, and you're never really okay. But that's the reality of loss. It can't be fixed, only carried.
Well, thank you for listening to Rowan's story today. This case is so heartbreaking and unreal. Just seeing how authorities can completely write off a very concerned mother and stepfather. While I understand that there was only certain actions that police could take at the time, they not only ignored evidence that Michael was not mentally stable, but also clearly hiding out on his property and ignoring them. At that point, something else should have been done. Michael had kidnapped his son. And don't even get me started on the judge who kept ignoring Brandy's concerns. It's so frustrating and so sad for all of Rowan's family. If you like true crime and you want to hear it from me, then don't forget to hit that subscribe button below and turn on your notifications too, so you'll know when I upload a new video, which is at least 3 times every single week. Thanks for watching A Wicked World today. Until next time, take care, guys. Bye. Thank you to all the patrons of A Wicked World. Now, there's even more of A Wicked World on Patreon, so check it out on patreon.com/awickedworld, or use the Patreon app. You'll have access to exclusive videos each month and more. Any support truly helps to make sure the victims are never forgotten and to highlight the shortcomings of society associated with each case. Do you have a suggestion for a story you'd like to see me cover? If so, send me an email to awickedworldtruecrime@gmail.com.